You all are thriving, not just surviving. I am excited for today's live show. We're going to be maybe doing something a little bit different. We are going to just be reading off the news. I will share my opinion a little bit, sure, though I am also just going to report what is out there. And I have decided to rebrand my show as Raw and Unfiltered because right now sometimes it's really hard to understand what's going on and just like what's the factual information, the objective science, data, statistics, and also understanding the bias. What is bias? Who is trying to put their bias on someone else? So today's show, I'm just going to be reading off the headlines. I'm going to be looking into the specifics on different articles, and we're going to be taking it all in together. I will be asking for your feedback during the stream. I will probably be putting up some polls as well. They might not show if you watch this video back as after it's been posted, after the live's been posted. But I appreciate every single one of you. Let's go ahead and get started. I love each and every single one of you as we're all just jumping here in the chat. Y'all are amazing. So here we go. Hold on. Let me get that. Are y'all drinking a beverage this morning? I have coffee, as always. All right, here we go. That was a bad tongue pop. Hold on. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all are thriving, not just surviving. Good morning, Akicha. Happy to see you here. So this morning, as we are going through and looking at the headlines, this is one that immediately caught my eye. Department of Homeland Security, abbreviated as DHS, admits its website featuring, quote, the worst of the worst arrests is full of mistakes. Interesting. Good morning, G Main Event. How are ya? Admits that it's full of mistakes. Interesting. Let's learn a little bit more. The Department of Homeland Security admitted the agency's website dedicated to arrests of, quote, the worst of the worst, or WOW, was full of incorrect information, changing the site after receiving questions from outlet CNN. The Department of Homeland Security website, quote, arrested worst of the worst, features the name, crimes, and location of arrests for thousands of people the agency claims were arrested by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. But after CNN questioned the Department of Homeland Security on the findings of an analysis of the website, the agency conceded that a large swath of the information was incorrect. Interesting. CNN's analysis found that hundreds of the persons listed on the website had been arrested or convicted of very minor crimes, such as singular traffic offense or marijuana possession. The agency claimed that this was due to a, quote, glitch, end quote, that failed to show more serious or more frequent convictions. If you're appreciating the live, please, as always, send some likes. It really helps out the stream. This, quote, this is a glitch on the WOW website that impacted about 5% of the entries, according to the DHS spokesperson that spoke with CNN. Quote, many of these who are listed as traffic offense and illegal reentry, which is a felony, have additional crimes. All of these individuals have been arrested by ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and all of them committed crimes breaking our nation's laws, including some who had felonies for illegal reentry. So this is interesting. The Department of Homeland Security is being cornered and questioned about the errors on their website. The spokesperson claimed the agency was working to, quote, fix the issue, claiming on Wednesday that the glitch had been resolved. The spokesperson did not answer CNN's request to specify the kind of glitch that had occurred. So, CBS News exclusive, an internal DHS, Department of Homeland Security document shows that less than 14% of nearly 400,000 individuals arrested by ICE in President Trump's first year back in power had violent criminal records. It's the most detailed look yet at who ICE has arrested. So less than 14% of those arrested by ICE in Trump's first year back in office had violent criminal records, documents show, in an analysis done by CBS News. So, of course, less than 14% of nearly 400,000 immigrants arrested by ICE in President Trump's first year back had charges or convictions for violent criminal offenses, according to an internal DHS document obtained by CBS News. So this was a document that was already done internally, interesting, by DHS. So they know their real numbers. The DHS statistics contained in the document, which had not been previously reported publicly, provide the most detailed look yet into who ICE has arrested during the Trump administration's far-reaching deportation operations across the United States. Oh, that's the one I just read, hold on. The internal DHS figures undermine frequent assertions by the Trump administration that its crackdown on illegal immigration is primarily targeting dangerous and violent criminals living in the U.S. illegally. People Mr. Trump and his lieutenants have regularly called the worst of the worst. The statistics instead show ICE has dramatically increased arrests since Mr. Trump's return to office. Nearly 60% of ICE arrestees over the past year had criminal charges or convictions, the document indicates, but among that population, the majority of the criminal charges or convictions are not for violent crimes. Interesting. For example, while Mr. Trump and his aides often talk about immigration officials targeting murderers, rapists, and gangsters, the internal DHS data that they recorded indicate that less than 2% of those arrested by ICE over the past year had homicide or sexual assault charges or convictions. Another 2% of those taken into ICE custody were accused of being gang members. When breaking this down by a pie chart, this is what we see. Less than 14% of ICE arrests involved those accused or convicted of violent crimes. Figures represent the share of 392,000, so roughly 400,000, those with criminal records made from January 21st of 2025 to January 31st of 2026. This is data coming from the Department of Homeland Security themselves. This is what we see. You can see a good chunk are civil immigration violations only, about 40%. You also then see all other crimes, that's a broad category of 30%. Assault as roughly 11%. DWI and DUI as 7.6%. And the rest of these making up a smaller share. This is information from DHS. So nearly 40% of all of those arrested by ICE in Mr. Trump's first year back in office did not have any criminal record at all, and were only accused of civil immigration offenses, such as living in the U.S. illegally or overstaying their permission to be in the country. The Department of Homeland Security document internally, now released to the public, shows. The alleged violations of the U.S. immigration law are typically adjudicated by the Justice Department immigration judges in civil, not criminal, proceedings. What do you all think? Do you all think that the Department of Homeland Security is covering this up? A CBS poll last month found that Americans' support for Mr. Trump's deportation efforts had fallen to 46%, down from 59% at the start of his second term. So just over 60% of those surveyed said the immigration agents were being too tough. Tricia McLaughlin, a Department of Homeland Security spokesperson, said in a statement after this story was published that, quote, drug trafficking, distribution of child porn, burglary, fraud, DUI, embezzlement, solicitation of a minor, human smuggling, are all categorized as non-violent crimes. I am not an expert on the law. I cannot verify whether that is true or not. In total, ICE made more than triple the number of administrative arrests, including of criminals over the past year under Mr. Trump, the agency did in fiscal year 2024, when it recorded 113,000 administrative arrests during the Biden administration. The percentage of ICE arrests of those with criminal histories, however, went down from 72% in fiscal year 2024 to nearly 60% in Trump's first year. The figures indicate that roughly 7,500, or 1.9%, of the ICE arrests involved individuals accused of belonging to gangs like Tren de Aragua, a criminal organization with origins in Venezuelan prisons. So, Department of Homeland Security's internal numbers show that when they said they would go after the people who are part of gangs, and that would be the majority of their deportations, it clearly contradicts with their actions because it's only 2%. So Mr. Trump initially made the gang a focal point of his crackdown, deporting more than 200 men accused, not found to be, but accused, of being Tren de Aragua members to a notorious prison in El Salvador. A CBS News and 60 Minutes investigation last year found most of the men did not have any apparent criminal record. So what this shows is the words coming from the Department of Homeland Security and the actions do not match up, meaning that the American people, rightfully so, have been misled in regards to the intentions and what they voted for. So continuing on with this analysis, that's where I was. Only 2% of ICE arrests involved people with alleged gang affiliations. Again, alleged being a very key word here. Not found, but alleged. I can allege you of something, but if there's no evidence of it, then my allegation is simply just an allegation. Please make sure to send some likes if you are appreciating the stream. The internal DHS document lays out the most serious charge or conviction for those arrested by ICE with criminal histories. The document lists 2,100 arrests for those with homicide charges or convictions, 2,700 arrests for those with robbery offenses, and 5,400 arrests involving individuals charged with or convicted of SA. Another 43,000 arrestees are listed as having assault charges or convictions. I will also say an assault charge or resisting arrest are easy things for the police to add on because it is upon their discretion. Also reliant upon the footage coming from police body cameras. Though, if my memory serves me correctly, ICE does not wear body cameras. So there's an element of trust or faith in the institution to be acting within the public's best interest that comes into play with understanding, trusting, or relying on these numbers to give a full story. Important context there. About 1,100 had kidnapping charges or convictions, and 350 had arson offenses listed. Added together, the number of ICE arrests involving individuals charged with or convicted of the aforementioned violent crimes represents around 14% of all arrests. Interesting. As you can see, this is what it looks like. Types of crimes linked to ICE arrested, listed as criminals. You can see amongst arson, kidnapping, homicide, robbery, burglary, SA, weapons offenses, dangerous drugs, you can clearly see that those are way smaller shares compared to all other. The figure below illustrates the categories of criminal charges or convictions among the individuals arrested by ICE between January 21st of 2025 and January 31st of 2026 who had criminal records. The Department of Homeland Security document says it listed the most serious charges or convictions at the time. This again flies in the face of the Department of Homeland Security admitting its website, showcasing the worst of the worst immigrants, was rife with errors. The Department of Homeland Security admitted that its website featuring what it calls the worst of the worst, arrested immigrants, was rife with errors and changed the site this week after receiving questions from CNN about it. DHS created the website in December, and the agency, its secretary, Kristi Noem, and the White House have all heavily promoted it on social media as the Trump administration has sought to justify its aggressive and heavily scrutinized immigration enforcement operations. Many of those who are listed as traffic offense and illegal reentry, which is a felony, have additional crimes, the spokesperson said, adding the agency was working, quote, to fix the issue. The spokesperson did not answer questions about what type of glitch, in quotes, could cause the people on the website to be described incorrectly. Quote, all of these individuals have been arrested by ICE and all of them committed crimes breaking our nation's laws, including some who had felonies for illegal reentry, the spokesperson said. Do you all think that the Department of Homeland Security is covering up the real truth in regards to their actions? I am going to put in a poll here. Do you believe the DHS is covering up what is really happening? I can't type all of that out. Do you believe the DHS is involved in a cover-up? Actually, that's not even a real good question, because the evidence here shows that they clearly are. So I don't even want to ask that question, because it's being reported that they clearly are fudging the numbers. How about, do you recognize that the DHS is involved in a cover-up? I can't type in the word cover-up. I have to say Koovaroo. Let's just go ahead and do it. That's so funny. That's so funny. Hold on. Acknowledge. Okay, hold on just a second. So whenever I do polls, it takes a while for me to type in all of that, so it leaves a moment in the live stream where I am paused, in a sense. So I apologize if you've come here and you immediately want there to be boom, 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 reporting. This is why I usually don't do polls, because it puts a gap in the middle of my speech pattern of covering the news. Though if you really appreciate the polls and opening it up, then please let me know. I can also do a form of feedback regarding, instead of having it be a poll, having it just be comment below. And that's usually what I do. I appreciate every single one of you. Let me know what you all think. It's self-explanatory, 100%. I'm gonna read a couple comments here. I do agree with you, awesome. Motherfucker had me Googling bullshit, like there's no effing way that's true. Yes, I'm definitely being shadow banned, and I'm really trying not to take it personally. Am I single? Yes, I am single. Yes, I am gay, thank you, light switches. Good morning, Elisa. Well, of course it's a cover-up, yeah. So let me know if you do you all like when I do polls? If you like when I do polls, comment below and just say yes. It's not you, Scott. And that's something, and this is some housekeeping. Personally, over the last 24 hours, I've really been thinking a lot about my platform itself. And in some capacity, sometimes there are things outside of my control. There are factors at play that it doesn't matter how well I perform doing these live streams. It sucks because I'm not getting the traction or engagement that is necessary in order for me to grow and actually get the information out. That being said, I'm very, very thankful for every single one of you that is in here. I really, really am. It doesn't stop me from wanting to spread the live and make it grow so much more so that more people actually understand and learn about the raw information that is out there. So I appreciate every single one of you so much. Let's just get right back into the news here. Moving on to the next story here. And I will be doing a recap of everything. Trump makes UFO announcement as Seth Meyers predicted he would after Epstein revelations. Do people watch Seth Meyers? Do people enjoy him? If you watch Seth Meyers, comment yes in the chat. If you do not, type no. Seth Meyers, personally, I think does a great job. He lays out factual information. He does jab and put funny spins on things, and he will share his opinion. But I think he does a decent job with trying to delineate between what is facts and what is his opinion. So Trump makes UFO announcement as Seth Meyers predicted he would after the latest Epstein revelations. President Donald Trump announced that he will order his administration to release files about unidentified aerial phenomena, or abbreviated as UAP, and potential alien life. The announcement comes after late-night host Seth Meyers predicted 7 months ago that the president would make a declaration about UFOs to distract from the revelations about Jeffrey Epstein. Trump has received a wave of bad press in July, and a lot, as the Wall Street Journal reported that he sent Epstein, the deceased child sex trafficker convicted in 2008, a lewd birthday message in 2003. The message contained a fictional, cryptic dialogue written inside the drawing of a woman's torso. The president denies writing the message and is suing the journal, which also highlighted a 2002 interview in which Trump called Epstein, quote, a terrific guy. And this is, of course, wonderful secret. Epstein files include drawing of nude woman Trump sent to late sex trafficker for his birthday, according to the Wall Street Journal reports. This is what is written inside. There is a voiceover. There must be more to life than having everything, the note began. Donald, yes, there is, but I won't tell you what it is. Actually, no, hold on, let me read that in Trump voice. Yes, there is, but I will tell you what it is, Jeffrey Epstein says, nor will I, since I also know what it is. We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Yes, we do, come to think of it. Enigmas never age. Have you noticed that? Jeffrey responds, as a matter of fact, it was clear to me the last time I saw you. Trump says, a pal is a wonderful thing. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret. This is the drawing in question that we are referring to. As you can see, this is inside a woman's torso. All of this, of course, was verified because Donald Trump's signature appears at the bottom and is very consistent with what we see in past correspondence. For instance, you can see his signature from a May 1987 letter to New York City official, a 1995 letter to Rudy Giuliani, 1998 letter to Rudy Giuliani, December 1998 letter to 2 New York City officials, 2001 letter to Rudy Giuliani, and then the birthday message in Epstein's book. clearly seeing that it is Donald Trump's signature. That all being said, going back to Seth Meyers did say that Donald Trump would reveal and release files regarding unidentified aerial phenomenon, or alien life, as a distraction from Epstein revelations. And yet he has been proven correct. Myers said, "Whatever is in those Epstein files must be really effing bad," Myers said on the July 24th episode of Late Night with Seth Meyers. Quote, "They must be finding so many mentions of Trump, they're going to have to change the name to the Trump Files, featuring Jeffrey Epstein. They're so desperate to distract everyone." Now, as a quick little sidebar, yesterday I did a whole live stream outlining what I have seen in the Epstein files. I showed what have been released to the public, things that are unredacted, and personally, I really encourage you to go check out that stream. Ever since doing that stream, I continue to be heavily shadow banned, and I'm just trying to get people information for you to think critically on your own. And being a journalist in a day and age of having integrity is not easy. So I appreciate every single one of you that is a part of that mission with me. Back to the story here. The comedian added, quote, "I honestly think we're just one Epstein story away from Trump announcing that UFOs are real." And eventually, the Justice Department released some of its files about Epstein. And even though Congress passed a law in November compelling the release of that material, with only victims' names to be redacted, even so, the Department of Justice did redact portions of the files that went beyond names, images, and victims. And it continued onward. Trump has repeatedly denied wrongdoing or knowing about Epstein's illegal activities. On Tuesday, he claimed he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein and claims that he was, quote, "totally exonerated." "I was totally exonerated with the latest release." And, of course, President Donald Trump claims he has nothing to do with it, totally exonerated, despite 38,000 mentions and new accusations in the Epstein files. Currently, members of Congress are the only ones that have access to the unredacted versions of the Epstein files. And as Becca Balint, one member of Congress, said after looking into the files, quote, "They are a bunch of sick fucks." That all being said, we as members of the public do not have access to the unredacted Epstein files, as it has not been made public just yet, though members of Congress do have that access. 4 computers at the Department of Justice in a corner room that apparently their search histories are still being recorded, which raised questions constitutionality. But then also those Department of Justice computers, 4 computers for 435 members of Congress, and they cannot record anything other, they can't share any of it, they cannot send any of it. They can only bring in notes on a legal pad in this current stage of this investigation, which raised a lot of questions around why the Department of Justice is then trying to claim that everything is done in full transparency, when deadlines have been missed for the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Continuing onward here, media and public attention has intensified since the latest release of the Epstein Files documents at the end of January. Among 3 million pages were more than 5,300 documents mentioning Trump, including multiple claims of sexual misconduct against Trump in the FBI documents. Interesting. Continuing on with all of this, one reporter asked Trump about comments that former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton made in an interview with the British broadcasting channel, BBC, in which she said she and former President Bill Clinton were pulled in to divert attention away from Trump. As a quick little sidebar, Bill Clinton is clearly also implicated within the Jeffrey Epstein sphere and scandal. As I noted yesterday, this Epstein scandal network spans members of both parties across the political spectrum. And Bill Clinton, our former president, also has severe allegations against him. It is also known of how connected he was with Jeffrey Epstein, and they appear in so many different photos together. Now, as a sidebar, for any MAGA that is incredibly desperate to try and claim that Clinton is the only one that needs to be held accountable for all of this, I really strongly encourage you to completely step outside yourself and stop facing cognitive dissonance. Because Trump, our current president, is also very implicated in these files. To accuse one and not the other does a disservice to all of the victims, all of the injustice that has occurred within this global sex trafficking ring that obviously has led to many other figures being held accountable, like the former Prince Andrew of the UK. In addition to all of that, to only focus on one offender and not the others, to only focus on to only focus on a couple or select group of them instead of all of them, again, really shows the cognitive dissonance that comes into play about creating a narrative that you prefer instead of the existence of reality as your preferred narrative or as the narrative itself. It also goes into the motivated reasoning of MAGA to avoid any information that goes against what they want to believe. So, continuing onward here, I encourage everyone to make their ideology critical thinking and empathy, and to hold everyone accountable, not just people a part of your opposing political party. Continuing onward with the crap that the president has said in response to this, he said, quote, reporter said, so Hillary Clinton said in an interview today that she and her husband are getting pulled into the Epstein matter to divert attention from you, and that your administration has something to hide. What is your response? President Trump says, I had nothing to hide. I've been totally exonerated. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. They went in hoping they'd find it and found just the opposite. I have been totally exonerated. Totally exonerated. And in fact, Jeffrey Epstein was fighting that I don't get elected with some author, a sleazebag, by the way. I've been totally exonerated. I have no idea what he's trying to say here. No, they're getting pulled in, and that's their problem. I don't know. They're gonna have to see what happens. But I watched her in Munich, and she seriously has Trump derangement syndrome. Reporter says, do you think that she should publicly testify? Do you think she should publicly testify? Hold on a second. You know, I've been totally exonerated on Epstein, and it's really interesting because they've been pulled in. Think of it. They've been pulled in. Clinton and other Democrats have been pulled in. Completely avoiding the question of whether Hillary Clinton should testify, showing that Donald Trump clearly has been losing his mind. On Thursday, the president announced he would release documents about UFOs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, writing on Truth Social. Again, proving Seth Meyers to be correct, that Trump would be disclosing information about UFOs, or UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, the new term that our government has been using, in regards to basically projecting and distracting from Epstein revelations that have been coming out in recent months. So Trump put on Truth Social, quote, based on the tremendous interest shown, I will be directing the Secretary of War and other relevant departments and agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UAP, and unidentified flying objects, UFOs, and any other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. God bless America. With another commenter responding, we said Epstein files, not the X files. Nice distraction, and you have not been exonerated at all, PEDO. So earlier in the day, Trump accused former President Barack Obama, which revealed classified information, by claiming that aliens do exist. Later, Obama walked back the comment, stating that he personally saw no evidence of aliens, but believed that they could exist, given the vastness of the universe. Basically, going forward and then retreating as a way to pacify the public and also quell, perhaps, fears. The government releasing material about UFOs or UAPs and potential alien life is nothing new. Multiple presidential administrations have disclosed all manner of reports, videos, testimony on the subject. Moreover, Congress has held hearings on the matter, which have yielded little in the way of proving aliens exist. That last comment is a little bit more subjective. Now, continuing onward, you have allies like James Comer claiming that Trump has been completely exonerated by the Epstein files. Interesting. Let's continue onward there. House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, a Republican of Kentucky, told Fox News host Sean Hannity and President Donald Trump was completely exonerated, end quote, of wrongdoing in the documents relating to the convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. As quick little context, I will say that we have not seen, as the public, the complete and unredacted files. We have not been able to view any of that. The only people who can see that currently are members of Congress. And they only have 4 computers for 435 members of Congress to view the unredacted Epstein files. That's it. They cannot share, download, send any of that information to each other or use it for questions regarding congressional testimony in the House Oversight Committee or the House Judiciary Committee. They cannot use that or they can use it for questioning, but they cannot download any official documents from the Epstein files in order to be shown during their questioning, which completely flies in the face of the claim that the Justice Department is providing full transparency. The same Justice Department where their leader, Pam Bondi, claimed that they were going to release the Epstein files, that she had a client list on her desk to review, then later claimed that the client list does not exist. Similarly, with the director of the FBI and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, Director of the FBI being Kash Patel, completely doing a 180 in regards to releasing the Epstein files, then claiming that any sort of other revelations that they previously claimed are somehow false, and they have basically gone back on their word. So, interesting, with breaking all this down, Comer joined Thursday's edition of Hannity to discuss the arrest of former Prince Andrew over his ties to Epstein. Well, the Democrats did not care about Epstein until someone had the notion that Donald Trump may have been involved, he said. What we have seen from the millions of documents that have been released is that Donald Trump is completely exonerated in the whole Epstein saga. As I noted yesterday, when doing the live stream, I was showing pictures of the current documents for the Epstein files, many of which still have not been unredacted. When you go to the Department of Justice's website and look into the documents relating to the 12 or 13 data sets, you will see that many files still have not been unredacted. Interestingly, and you can go and view this on a past live stream, the pictures that I reference, a lot of them are just pictures of facilities. And if you go through and look yourself, you will see a lot of the same type of picture, leading to questions regarding whether the Department of Justice can live up to the name of full transparency. You will also see, of course, pictures of Donald Trump. You will see pictures of Bill Clinton, parts of the Epstein sphere. But then, again, there are still lots of documents that are redacted, which basically fly in the face of the Department of Justice claiming full transparency. In addition to all of this, Comer's evidence for the exoneration was that if the president had committed any wrongdoing, that the information would have been leaked by Trump's many enemies within deep state apparatuses. You mean like stuff like this? James Comer is trying to pretend like there is, like this doesn't exist out there. Anytime there are enemies of Trump, meaning journalists, that reveal information regarding his involvement in the Epstein files, they claim it as fake. Then turn around and somehow claim that if there were true evidence about wrongdoing, that it would have been leaked to the public. Well, my question is, what do you think this is? What do you think that was then? Comer's evidence for this exoneration was that if the president had committed any wrongdoing, that information would have been leaked. So James Comer, Republican of Kentucky, is asserting that his evidence is trust me, bro. Just trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. He's been exonerated. As a journalist, I'm sorry, but I don't trust me, bro politics, regardless of who it is about, who it is targeting, a certain member of a political party. Trust me, bro politics is a catch-all phrase to avoid accountability. Quote, if there had been any dirt on Donald Trump, that would have been leaked because Donald Trump has many enemies in the Department of Justice and deep state apparatuses. So with respect to Trump, I don't think there's anything there. Notice the very convenient wording of I don't think. Not there isn't, I don't think. There's a difference between stating there is not something and I don't think. I don't think is a subjective way of trying to make a certain claim, whereas if you were to say there is not, make something more permanent. When listening to members of Congress, regardless of political affiliation, always filter for subjective language that is attempting to sound factual. So I don't think, or I don't believe. He has been exonerated. I don't think there is evidence. For example, the president simply claimed that on Tuesday he was totally exonerated. People's responses were, except for the underage RAPE victim, the FBI interviewed 3 times. Next, Comer will investigate while Disney cast a black girl in The Little Mermaid. Interesting. Or when they show 1 million illegal TACO, Trump always chickens out, taco redactions, we can decide about that. Interesting that they claim that Trump has been fully exonerated when evidence shows quite the opposite. Now, as a quick little pause here, we're going to be doing a couple more stories and then ending the live stream. I continue to be heavily shadow banned for continuing what I do here, so I appreciate every single one of you that are part of this mission. And I'm just trying to get the information out there. I am not trying to push my opinion on you. If you disagree with my take or my opinion, fine, that's cool. You have the freedom to do that. Though I will encourage you to root your analysis in critical thinking and empathy, as this world has required. In my view, I think that the public has been pacified to accept injustice as a form of reality. And I think that we simply need to push beyond that and deserve and demand better for the American people. And I truly think that in some capacities, it is not me that is the issue or the problem in regards to reporting out this information. It is simply the algorithm that continues to suppress me in doing what I do. If you all have any ideas on how to stop, quell, or end this, please let me know. Comment on my videos. Please share my videos. Or do what you can to basically really push the algorithm back into promoting my content, because we are only as strong as all of us together fighting for justice. So I appreciate every single one of you. Let's continue onward with the next story here. All right. Gutfeld defends Trump making $4 billion since taking office because, quote, that's not being stolen from me. Greg Gutfeld, a regular propagandist commentator on Fox News, recently appeared in The Five, as he always does, with several other people a part of The Five. Fox News' Greg Gutfeld defended President Donald Trump's massive personal financial gains while he's been in office, telling co-hosts on Thursday that, quote, "He's never taken money from me. I'm okay." Pause. Let's say, for instance, that Donald Trump has taken money from other people at the expense of those people. Are you saying that you do not care about the injustice of that because you're not personally affected? I would argue that's incredibly unempathetic and makes you an asshole. Perfectly said. Thank you. You don't have to agree with me, though I would encourage you to. In a wild rant on Fox's The Five, Gutfeld claimed Gutfeld claimed that the Democratic Party was, quote, the party of corruption. This sparked an animated debate with Jessica Tarlov over Trump's financial dealings, which have reportedly made the president up to $4 billion in personal wealth during this second Trump administration. This is the exchange between Greg Gutfeld and Jessica Tarlov. Gutfeld says, "Jessica, I can't believe you don't know this. They are the party of corruption. We are seeing it now." Tarlov responds, "What?" Gutfeld says, "Billions and trillions. Trillions of dollars are being taken out of the government into these fake businesses. You have these weird puppets from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris to mayor. They have no experience, no intellect. They are just here to do whatever. I don't know what dark forces are running your party, but there is something sick going on and you need to be aware of it." Obviously, all very opinionated claims that are based on rumors and subjectivity instead of raw factual information. As of XYZ person did XYZ this, you can clearly see there is a difference between allegations and evidence. Though, for anyone who is a part of the right wing or MAGA, there doesn't seem to be a difference of either, and it's purely based on desirability of what they want reality to be. Continuing onward, Tarlov says, "Okay, a couple of things. One, the head of your party and the president of the United States," Gutfeld interrupts, "is the greatest president ever." Tarlov goes, "Of America," and his family have made $4 billion since coming into office. $4 billion. Gutfeld says, "That's not from me. That's not being stolen from me." Tarlov says, "Yes, it is actually." So that was another claim by Jessica Tarlov, claiming that the president is benefiting from office and making $4 billion from his position. "Your party steals from us. Your party steals our tax money. He has never taken money from me. I'm okay. If he wants to make Bitcoin money, I don't even know what that is." Tarlov says, "That's not a good defense for it." And listening to Gutfeld interrupts, "He's not robbing." Tarlov says, "The Trump boys." Gutfeld responds, "He's not going through my wallet, Jessica. You guys are." So clearly there is a claim coming from Jessica Tarlov that Trump has benefited off of the presidency in the tune of $4 billion. Greg Gutfeld claims that the Democratic Party is the party of corruption. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld does not give any evidence. Tarlov is interrupted every single time she attempts to provide information. She then also says that is absolutely not true. He is using taxpayer money for all of the things that he does. When he flies around and they make backroom deals. When he sends Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, Gutfeld interrupts, doesn't take a salary. Has any other Democrat done that? Tarlov says, "Okay, $400,000, not $4 billion. Gutfeld says, Democrats take my salary." So there have been obviously some claims that have been thrown around. Half of my salary. You just said Dan Lurie was awesome the first block. Okay, I want to clear up some things in this exchange. what I have been able to gather is, did Trump donate his presidential salary? Yes, with an asterisk. Donald Trump has publicly pledged to donate the presidential salary. He did make repeated donations during his first time in office, but the full picture is more complicated than a simple yes or no. He promised to donate his salary. A promise is not evidence. During the 2016 campaign and after office in 2017, Trump repeatedly said he would not take the $400,000 annual presidential salary, saying he would donate it instead. Though, because our Constitution actually says that you cannot donate your salary, you have to accept it, you cannot refuse it. You have to accept it and then donate it. He did donate portions of his salary, but there are questions regarding whether it actually got donated. So, also, going to Tarlov's claim, I asked ChatGPT, can you list all the ways Trump has used his power as president to make $4 billion while in office? Can you elaborate how being president has made him wealthier? And ChatGPT gave me a good baseline to conduct this research. Here's a clear, sourced explanation of how Donald Trump's wealth has reportedly increased during and because of his presidency, including claims that his net worth has grown by billions. Independent reporting and financial analyses show various mechanisms through exact totals like a precise 4 billion figure are estimates and often debated. So ChatGPT says, step number 1, cryptocurrencies ventures have boosted his wealth. One of the largest sources of income tied to Trump's political power has been his involvement in cryptocurrency. Trump and his family launched cryptocurrency projects, including a meme coin and World Liberty Financial, that reportedly generated huge revenues following regulatory and policy changes under his administration. Forbes and other outlets reported that crypto-related activity alone accounted for approximately $2 billion plus for his net worth within a year of his presidency. Meaning that with the release of Trump's World Liberty Financial, which is his cryptocurrency, Trump meme coin, all of that, his net wealth, his net worth has skyrocketed. But that also has come at the expense of public regulation regarding policy changes that have been made under the Trump presidency. So changing the way that cryptocurrency is regulated, then putting out your own cryptocurrency can be very much seen and is a conflict of interest. Though many people who are MAGA do not care at all about those conflicts of interest unless it is a part of the other political party. So when looking at this, presidency boosts Trump's net worth by $3 billion in 1 year. And of course, MAGA will dismiss this evidence as made up to make Trump look bad because they are immune to any sort of information that goes against what they want to believe, which proves that they are in a cult. Donald Trump just had the most lucrative year of his life. The president is now worth a record $7.3 billion, up from $4.3 billion in 2024, when he was still running for office. The $3 billion gain, which, to be fair, contradicts around the $4 billion claim that Jessica Tarlov made on Fox News. The $3 billion gain vaulted him to 118 spots on the Forbes 400, where he now lands number 201 this year. No president in U.S. history has used his position of power to profit as immensely as Trump. His primary vehicle for enrichment, cryptocurrency, an asset class full of hype and vulnerable to regulators. Teaming up with his 3 sons, Trump announced a crypto venture in September of 2024 named World Liberty Financial, which initially struggled to gain traction. Then he won the White House. Then he won the White House. Crypto entrepreneur Justin Sun, whom the Securities and Exchange Commission had accused of fraud, invested $75 million, routing an estimated $40 million to the president-elect, and millions more to his family members, kickstarting a bonanza that has since snowballed. In January, days before re-entering the White House, Trump launched a meme coin, adding hundreds of millions to his pile of cash. In office, Trump has now rolled back regulatory enforcement of cryptocurrency and signed legislation favorable to the industry. So Congress has passed legislation that has rolled back regulations of cryptocurrency, and Trump has released his own cryptocurrency venture, basically showing the huge conflicts of interest on how Trump is personally benefiting and his wealth is skyrocketing being in office. Ask yourself, if the shoe is on the other foot, if this was someone a part of an opposing political party or a current party that you are a part of, would you have the same reaction? For instance, I am a Democrat. I'm a very progressive Democrat. I'm a very independent progressive. I vote in the Democratic Party as a conduit for progressive change, not incredibly proud necessarily to be voting in a party that basically tries to exclude progressivism. That all being said, if this was someone a part of my political party, whether this is Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, I would be holding them just as much accountable as I would of someone in an opposing political party like Donald Trump. Because corruption is corruption regardless of political affiliation. And I really think that a good chunk of Americans can get on board with that. But if you are a part of MAGA, you refuse to acknowledge anything that goes against your leader, and this is why many people in this country now say that MAGA is a cult, immune from any sort of reasoning whatsoever. Acknowledging reality becomes a hindrance for them, thereby they must change their views in order to coexist with their fictional form of reality. About how Donald Trump is the amazing savior and worshiping him like a god. Continuing onward, again, in office, Trump has rolled back regulatory enforcement of cryptocurrency and signed legislation enforcement to favorable words. Hold on. In office, Trump has rolled back regulatory enforcement of crypto and signed legislation favorable to the industry, ensuring that he would personally benefit from conflicts of interest. His meme coins, initially tied up for 3 months, now unlock daily, freeing tens of millions per week. World Liberty Financial, meanwhile, has continued selling tokens, including to opaque buyers, generating an estimated $1.4 billion so far. A Trump family entity receives roughly 75% cut of those sales, amounting to more than $1 billion. So, with all of that being said, going back to Jessica Tarlov's comment around $4 billion, you could say that there is criticism to be made since it seems to be only $3 billion. Though, going to what Greg Gutfeld was saying, he did donate his presidential salary, asterisks, there is important context there. So, with all that being said, Greg Gutfeld said, oh, well, he's not benefiting off of my taxpayer dollars. Incorrect. Donald Trump is very much benefiting off of taxpayer dollars in addition to his World Liberty Financial, because currently our president has accepted gifts and unusual assets linked to foreign entities. There have been multiple controversial instances where Trump has received substantial assets tied to foreign entities. Remember that jet that he received from Qatar? A luxury jet valued at $400 million was reportedly gifted by Qatar, which drew widespread scrutiny over the emolument clause in our Constitution, meaning that you cannot, as president, accept any foreign bribes or emoluments in the form of a gift. Yet Donald Trump enthusiastically did receive that and accept it, and leading to very constitutional questions around conflicts of interest, selling out the American people in the process. Some analyses suggest foreign governments and state-linked sources spent millions at Trump-owned properties while he was in office. Another conflict of interest. For our current president to be a real estate mogul and use his properties as a way of benefiting, where you're hosting events at endless amounts of your properties, basically trying to do PR and brand yourself as bigger than you are, is using taxpayer dollars to go into Trump businesses that he is not divested from, meaning that he is taking taxpayer dollars in order to pay for conferences that go to his properties, meaning that he is bolstering and using his position in order to benefit. Put the shoe on the other foot. If Biden, our former president, or Barack Obama, our former president, had a retail or hotel chain properties in real estate regarding properties that they hosted events for, that would be a major conflict of interest, because it is the United States dollars that go into funding those conferences, meetings, deals, to do official United States business as president to those private entities, which would then benefit the president in that instance. Would be a major conflict of interest. Somehow, MAGA completely avoids that as a topic because it goes against what they want to believe. They do not care if Trump personally benefits as long as they, quote, own the libs. And this is what we see again and again and again. It is corruption for anyone else, and it is somehow dismissed for anyone in my in-group. It is classic form of cognitive dissonance that we see amongst the MAGA base. And they continue to lap it up like dogs as they are used as cogs in a machine for Trump's benefit. Continuing onward, with gifts and unusual assets linked to foreign entities, again, the Constitutional Emoluments Clause exists to restrict such benefits, and these situations have been legally and politically contentious. Also, using your presidency to then increase and skyrocket your net worth by selling your image and merchandise. It is no secret that Donald Trump has primed his supporters to buy 47 shirts, 15 flags, a Trump cutout for their house, Trump cologne, Trump Bibles, Trump sneakers, Trump everything, as a way of basically giving his supporters the identity of being a Trumper as part of their agency or their role in life. Trump's presidency has also increased his ability to sell products and experiences tied to his brand. Trump branded merchandise, Trump Bibles, of course, books, speaking fees related to image-driven revenue, for example. So Trump has basically benefited significantly off of his position in office. And a few important notes to point out: the United States law prohibits presidents from accepting payments from foreign governments without congressional approval or consent, which is the Emoluments Clause. And Congress did not grant him any sort of pass, like you can accept this Qatari jet that is worth $400 million, basically showing that our presidency can be bribed by a foreign nation as long as it is a nice, sparkly jet. Trump did not place his assets in a blind trust, leaving his businesses under family control. This control, with many modern presidents, raising concerns about conflicts of interest, meaning he did not divest from his businesses and using taxpayer dollars to fund ventures for meetings at Trump hotels, meetings at conferences on Trump properties, leads to a huge, massive conflict of interest where he can benefit off of using taxpayer dollars to pay for conferences to do official United States business, which of course MAGA decides to completely ignore, even though if the shoe is on the other foot and this was someone a part of an opposing political party, they would be constantly talking about as corruption. And in that instance, they would be correct. But immediately because it is a part of a political party that they identify with as their in-group, they dismiss it as somehow hyperbolic drama or TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Now, completely shifting to the last story here, let's finish strong. Please send some likes. I love all of you. Trump declared that he, quote, I won affordability. Trump declares victory despite rising prices. As we continue to see prices for groceries, prices for any goods in America continue to go up, especially in regards to questions around Trump's tariffs. And Trump's tariffs, which then is a tax on imported goods, that hurts significantly small businesses, basically lead to questions around the cost of goods in order for businesses to make up that revenue by charging customers for more. Even though rising prices continue to happen, Donald Trump claims that he won affordability, despite claiming that affordability was a made-up term and a con job by the Democrats last December. So President Trump declared victory over the country's cost of living woes on Tuesday, telling the crowd at an event in Georgia, quote, "I've won affordability." Affordability is not a tournament, it is not a game, it is not somehow a relay where there is a winner and a loser. You cannot win affordability the same way that you cannot win transparency, the same way that you cannot win truth. Affordability is simply the process on which goods become attainable based on a price that is evaluated to be achievable for certain people to purchase different goods and services compared to their income. You cannot win affordability the same way that you can win a game of Monopoly. But of course, that requires intelligence to be able to understand that difference, which Donald Trump's health has been declining, leading to many questions around his ability to continue to run the country. And also the fact that he says that he's won affordability, despite claiming that the term affordability was a con job by the Democrats and a made-up term by the Democrats back in December, leads to lots of questions and complete contradictions around the now phrase that he has won affordability. Trump delivered remarks at a steel fabricator in Rome, Georgia, where he touted his economic record as historically high stock market. Like the stock market somehow reflects broader Main Street. Just because you have investors and stock traders receiving massive amounts of wealth from trading stocks on Wall Street, somehow that is the only economic indicator of success in this country. Completely showing that he has become incredibly detached and always has been detached from anyone a part of rural America, working class America, as you can basically see. After listing some of his second-term achievements, I personally will say achievements in air quotes, the president claimed to have won the battle for affordability, a word Democrats had made the centerpiece of last year's elections and is making as the upcoming midterms. Quote, "And then I have to listen to the fake news talking about affordability. Affordability. What word have you not heard of in the past 2 weeks? Affordability. Because I've won affordability. I had to go out and talk about it." Trump's speech on Tuesday, part of his affordability tour ahead of the midterms, continues his administration's attempts to focus on the cost of living. Once a winning issue for Trump, affordability itself has become a major liability for the Republican Party in 2025, as polls continue to show Americans blaming Trump for their economic struggles. The president's recent embrace and now alleged victory over the term affordability comes as prices continue to rise in a variety of sectors. The last month's consumer price index showed significant upticks in utilities over last year, home electricity prices rising, natural gas also rising, groceries also rising. Yet this also comes at a time when the president previously raged over the word affordability, calling it a con job by the Democrats. At a December cabinet meeting, he was roughly condemned for a remark made to Fox News White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich in November, where he claimed he didn't want to hear about the term because it was a Democrat con job, leading to questions and complete contradictions around how is the term affordability a made-up con job by the Democrats, and then now you're saying that you won affordability. Given his antagonism toward the whole Democratic Party as the enemy from within, in general, why would you want to win a term that you claim is a term made up by the other side, then claiming that you have achieved victory over that term? This is where I'd be like, if you're supporting Trump still, you're absolutely insane. Like, this man contradicts himself into a knot, and then somehow you turn around and say he's playing 8D chess. Have some respect for yourself and acknowledge a spade is a spade. Trump is insane. Period, end of story. It doesn't mean anything. Trump rages over affordability as a con job. Yet, he is now claiming that he won affordability, despite it being a con job made up by the Democrats. Anyway, it is almost 9:20. I appreciate every single one of you. How was today's live stream? I haven't been looking at the chat basically at all, so I want to read out a couple comments before I end the live stream. Wait. We can work this. The president has said he's won affordability. I'll ask him for $1 million. He can afford it as the winner of affordability. Boom. What's the number to the White House? Yeah, he's won affordability. Okay, can you make my livelihood affordable? Only irrelevant comments are muted. Yeah. That's what I was confused about the title. We're not asking about Canada, and Scott doesn't read the chat until the end. I love the whataboutism that comes in here. To the people who regularly watch this show, part of the reason why I don't like to acknowledge the comments during segments is because there are Trump deflectors, MAGA cultists that continue to come in here attempting to whataboutism their way into basically avoiding any sort of accountability. So any reason we are relying on AI? Simply just that it provides a good overview for us to start our analysis. I am not relying on AI. Relying is very subjective. Instead, I use ChatGPT to form a basis around some of those things, then tap into specific articles and sources to then specifically reveal information. I use AI as an overview that provides us a context, a baseline for us to start the discussion. They don't care, bro. He could shit in a punch bowl and they would fight for first place in the line. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I appreciate every single one of you. I only comment to move the screen. Your show is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. I work super, super hard to do what I do here, and it means a lot to have y'all's support. I know that I'm currently being shadow banned, and right now I am looking at that as no matter how much I do to clear up my language, eliminate filler words, be clear and concise, change my tone up, cover content that's relevant. In some capacities, there's only so much that I can do when an algorithm works relentlessly against me. So I will continue to do what I do and not worry about what I cannot control. Hello, C-Bar! If you all want to help me with that help is greatly welcomed and appreciated. Please share my content. Please go back and watch past live streams. Go and look at videos that I have posted. This last week, I haven't posted as many videos as I would have liked. That's a long story and long explanation. That all being said, shout out to my amazing moderators. I really appreciate every single one of you. You all are amazing. You're not alone. Just keep doing it. Thank you, Byman. I really appreciate you saying that because sometimes it's hard for me to see the impact that I am making. It's hard for me to see the impact that I am making because I'm sitting here by myself in a room, physically by myself in a room. When I do this and I don't read comments, I don't see the support, but I also don't see the negativity, which protects my own mental health and continue to do what I do. And now, when I try to cover information, I get heavily suppressed when I'm just trying to give you information instead of just my opinion, because that's what journalism should be. And the fact that all of you are here with me, the 42 of you, that is awesome. I really appreciate every single one of you, whether you are a quiet listener or if you are someone that tunes in every day and is very vocal. You all, I don't want to sound like this, but when I initially take off in regards to my public presence, I will be very grateful for every single one of you that is in here and continue to be very grateful that you all are with me in this. I love all of you so much. I need to get going because I need to get to work. So shout out to my amazing moderators. Please join the Discord. Please join the Discord as Ilisa has put in here. and I need to get on the Discord. And shout out to my amazing moderators, Akicha, Kate, Cherie, Ellie, Kentiguen, Kentiguen. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I still need to figure out how to say it. I appreciate all of you so much. Shout out to good friends in here, JE Main Event, C-Bar, Jessica Woodard. I appreciate you saying that. Work in 95 says, Scott says, nail painted emoji. Love that. Byman, I really appreciate you saying that. That really kind of made my day. Anyway, I have to get going. I appreciate every single one of you. I don't have a dog in the fight. Your content's very much appreciated. I really appreciate you saying that. So just remember that you are beautiful, you are loved, you are valid, you are strong, and you are fierce. Don't let anyone or anything or the algorithm ever dim your shine. I love all of you so much. Bye!